What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of Do You Want More, a UFC stat show here on the Monk Maddox channel. I am your host, Monk, aka the Monkmatician, and we are going to be breaking down the stats for all 6 of the preliminary fights on UFC Vegas 35, headlined by Giga Chikadze and Edson Barboza. So, without further ado, let's get right into it here. First fight of the night. Martinez has a rescheduled bout, or I guess a rescheduled opponent. Guido Kennedy. This is going to be a... Oh, cool. Hey, Lock of the Night's live. All right. What's up, Lock? Martinez against Guido Kennedy. Bantamweight fight. As I said, first fight of the card here. 5'10" for Martinez, 70-inch reach against a 5'6" Kennedy, 68-inch reach, orthodox versus southpaw, respectively. Martinez is 16 and a half years younger than Guido Kennedy, who is pushing 42 years old. Hey, more power to you. Born in the 70s, so hey, even older than me. Don't knock it. 8-2 professionally from Martinez. He's 0-1 in the UFC. Guido Kennedy is 8-5 professionally, 2-4 in the UFC. Let's see, Martinez, 10% of his fights, one fight, I should say, out of 10 has gone the distance. See if you can see my cursor there now. 80% of his fights, his pro fights, have ended by knockout win. And he did get subbed for his one loss, or his one UFC loss, I should say. I believe it was Draco Rodriguez. Yep, right there, Draco Rodriguez. Guido Kennedy, 30% of his fights, 31% of his fights have ended by knockout, 3 wins, 1 loss. 54% of his fights have ended by submission, 3 wins, 4 losses. Has never gone to a decision, has never lost a decision, I should say. Total fight time, we've only got 1 fight for Martinez, 237. So a very small sample size for Martinez. In that fight, he did get his ass whooped. AWI, ass whooping index, minus 47.76. No bueno. Power index is 0. Chindex is also 0. Guido Kennedy has 50 minutes of fight time, average 8.53 minutes. His ass whoop index is much better than Martinez, but still negative, minus 8.3. No power index, and his Chindex is a horrendous 2.7. So the higher the power index, the better. The lower the chin index, the better. 2.7 is very high. That is good for 62nd out of 66. So if this is your first time here, I skipped over this, but right in here in the middle column, right under my Monk Maddox logo, how beautiful that is. It tells you what weight class the fight is happening at, bantamweight, and then how many of those fighters in that weight class I have in my division, or in my database. So I have 66 bantamweights in my database. So that's where you get the rankings here, 65, 42, that's out of 66. So you can always look up there for reference. Couple of odds here. Martinez opened at minus 225. He's currently at minus 363, so tons of money came in there. Guido Kennedy went from plus 185 to plus 282. Minus 175 fight doesn't go. I do not have odds yet for inside the distance or decision, which is also why my cap numbers are going to be off right now. And a couple other factors as well. It's still pretty early in the week, but I'm definitely not on the Guido Kennedy side right here. So these numbers will change later in the week, and I will be posting them. Some notable performances and some notable performances, if you will. Kennedy beat Hugo Viana, decision. Diego Rivas, decision. And then 4 losses. No finish wins for either fighter. Every time they lose, it's a finish. 100% finish loss right there. Graphical representation of that. 3 sub losses from Guido Kennedy and 1 TKO loss, as you can see right there. Round finishing data, no finishes for either fighter. Martinez did get finished in the first round, as we know. Guido Kennedy has been finished twice in the first round and twice in the second round. So some pretty early finishes there. Ass whooping index data, not much to look at. Same for Martinez, and then Guido Kennedy. In his finished losses, he averages minus 25.16, which is pretty high in the average finish loss category. And when his fights go to decision, he has an ass whoop index of 3.57. So not too bad there. We'll get into the meat and potatoes of the stats here. Basic striking data. I'm just trying to see my time here. We're not even at 5 minutes. We're flying along. Let's see. 62%. Let's see. Sorry. Mana Martinez, 2.11 significant strikes landed per minute at a 62.5% accuracy. He has been hit with 1.27 strikes per minute at a 50% accuracy. But again, that's less than 10 strikes thrown and less than 10 strikes thrown again. So a very small sample size. He did get subbed early, like we said. But that's still a striking differential of 0.84 strikes per minute. Guido Kennedy, 2.85 significant strikes landed per minute at a 52% accuracy. He gets hit with 2.17 strikes per minute at a 51% defense. So just barely, pretty comparable numbers, at least on the defensive side. Does get hit with almost a full strike more, but still has a significant striking differential of 0.68. So both positive there. In fact, they're one after the other in the rankings, 30 and 31. Advanced striking data. Mana Martinez, 12.5% striking efficiency. Guido Kennedy, only 2.84. He has spent 47% of his total fight time fighting at distance. And Mana Martinez spent 41% of his one fight fighting at distance. No knockdowns for Martinez, no knockdowns for Kennedy. 3 knockdowns against for Kennedy, giving him a 0.88 knockdown against per 15. That is good for 55 out of 66 in the division. So pretty low there. Basic takedown data. Not hardly anything for Mana Martinez. He's got no takedown attempts, and he 1-for-1 takedowns against. Guido Kennedy, on the other hand, 9 for 18, 50% accuracy. He lands 2.64 takedowns per minute. He has stopped 18 of 24 takedown attempts, good for 75% defense. So a very good takedown defense he's got. Only gets hit with 1.76 takedowns landed against per 15. Lots of people shooting on him, though. 7 takedowns, 7 takedown attempts against per 15 for Guido Kennedy. He shoots at a 6.41% rate. His opponents shoot at a 10.5% rate, which is crazy. Takedown efficiency for Kennedy, 25%. Very good there. Advanced takedown data. Let's see. Guido Kennedy lands 2.5 takedowns per 15 in his wins. So pretty comparable numbers to his regular numbers. We won't get into that too much. When he attempts 2 or more takedowns, he does increase his takedown rate from 2.64 to 2.8 per minute, but he only has won 40% of those fights. Basic control time. Mana Martinez control time 33.76. However, that is less than 1 minute. Again, very small sample size. Control time for Kennedy 30.21. Very good. Control time against 22.81. So he is out controlling his opponents at a 1.32 to 1 ratio. Time fought inside the distance for Guido Kennedy 53% compared to 59% for Mana Martinez. Get up time for Mana 36 seconds. Guido Kennedy 29 seconds. And the hold down time for Guido Kennedy 51.5. So pretty good hold down time there. Percent of grappling time controlled. 57% of all the grappling time was controlled by Mana Martinez in his fights. And same, but just a slightly less for Guido Kennedy, 56.98%. Submission data. Mana Martinez did attempt a submission, did not get it, but instead got submitted in his fight. Kennedy has also attempted a submission, was unsuccessful, and has only stuffed 2 out of 5 submission attempts against him. Reversals. They each have 1 reversal for, no against. Let's see here. 16.67% of the time Guido Kennedy has landed a takedown, it does get reversed. So that's that stat right there. And then the opposite over here, 0%. And actually, I read that wrong. 16.67% of the time Guido Kennedy has a takedown landed against him, he reverses it. And then the other side here. Advanced significant striking data. I'm not going to get too far into this. I forgot to mention before, the middle column is a column. The middle column and then the 2 columns to the right are the ones we're going to be paying attention to. The middle column is accuracy and defense. This next column is volume per minute, and the column following that is volume thrown per minute. So I'm kind of just looking here, seeing what jumps out at me. Some pretty low numbers for Mana Martinez and then some pretty high numbers as well. You often do find that when you have 2 minutes of total cage time, so we're going to kind of ignore that. What's jumping out to me about Guido Kennedy? Lands a lot of body strikes, and he's pretty accurate there. Over 1 body strike landed per minute. Hmm. That's about it. His defense is pretty good for the most part. Striking efficiency and differentials. Martinez, negative head striking efficiency, negative body striking efficiency, 0 leg striking, positive 12.5 distance striking, and negative 100 inside the distance striking efficiency. So you're going to see some crazy numbers like that again with a small sample size. Guido Kennedy, negative head striking efficiency, minus 9.5, plus 18 body strike, plus 24 leg strike, plus 8, plus 2 inside the distance. So some pretty good efficiency numbers there. And then some striking differentials, almost half a strike positive differential strikes to the body, 0.4 positive to the legs, over half a strike difference from distance. Mana Martinez even better, 0.84 distance striking differential per minute, 1.27 leg strikes differential per minute there. And then these numbers here, advanced significant striking percentages. I like to see, if guys are just focusing on the head, are they good at dispersing their strikes across the body? So what this is telling me is 37.5% of all significant strikes thrown from Mana Martinez went to the head, 12.5% to the body, and then 50% to the legs. Kennedy, 60.85% to the head, 26% to the body, 12.8 to the legs. So some very high numbers to the body and to the legs there. Gotta love to see that. And then you have your distance, distance strikes thrown, distance strikes landed, etc., etc. And then a graphical representation of those numbers that I just read out. Anytime we have a clusterfuck of numbers here, that just means they're all zeros for the most part, so you can ignore that. And then we get into the last 5 statistics. 0-1 for Mana Martinez, we can ignore him since these statistics are exactly the same as they were up there, just because we don't have 5 fights yet. Guido Kennedy, however, does have 6 fights, so we can get into it for just a second. He does have a positive significant striking differential still, 0.7. Positive takedown landed per minute, 0.68. Positive control time, positive reversals, very good. His ass whooping index is still low, negative 6.5. No power index, and his chin index is still terrible, 2.53. That is god awful. So he does tend to get his ass whooped. Categorical trends. This breaks down in different categories, like for instance, significant striking accuracy, how he's 1.41% higher in his last 5 fights than he is over the span of his career. So we're kind of just seeing in those categories if the fighters are trending up, trending down, etc. Guido Kennedy, pretty even keel all across the board. Not even, 1.41% is the highest number I'm looking at here. So pretty even keel. Strength of schedule. This is the only stat other than the professional fight ending stats up top here that I do go outside the UFC to get. So no matter where they fought, these are the numbers for the last 5 fights. Mana Martinez, 39-19, his opponent's professional record combined. That is a 67.24% winning percentage. 67.24 winning percentage. Strength of schedule, 63, not great. Strength of victory, 67, not great. Strength of defeat, 70, not great. So you do want these numbers, for the most part, over 70. 75 would be nice to see that, over 75. If you get into 80, you're doing pretty well. Some guys are even in the 90s, and that is fantastic. Guido Kennedy has better strength of schedule all the way around. Opponents win percent, 71.6. 71 strength of schedule, 71 strength of victory, and 71 strength of defeat. So very consistent there, but all better than Martinez. And as we saw, he is 2-3 in his last 5. He has wins over Diego Rivas. I don't know if he's Brazilian or not off the top of my head. Hugo Viana. Some decent wins there, pretty close fights, both decisions. He has been subbed twice in his last 5 and knocked out by Dana Batgerel. And then Mana Martinez, 1 fight in the UFC has been a sub loss in the first round against Drago Rodriguez. So we will go down here and check out these graphs. I'll quickly go over these here. So each category, we have a solid blue line. That is our fighter's number here. Solid orange is our opponent in that category. The dashed blue line is our fighter's trend line. Dashed orange line is our opponent's trend line. Solid green line is our fighter's average. Solid yellow line is their opponent's average. So we do want the blue line above the orange. That means we're outperforming our opponent. We want our trend line to be going up and also above our opponent for obvious reasons. We do want to be trending up and improving. And then we want our average to be above our opponent's average, obviously. So Amanda Martinez, not going to have much to look at. It's only been one fight. Basically, you can look at the averages, which is just numbers we've already talked about. So he has, no takedowns. Did get, Draco Rodriguez landed 6.33 per 15. So he only probably landed one takedown, one or two. I could look. One takedown, but it was in such a short amount of time. That's the number we get. And then you get your control time graph over here. Guido Kennedy, we will have numbers to look at. The blue line started above the orange, but has consistently gotten worse. He is trending up in strikes per minute, but his opponent trending way up at a faster rate. And his average is good, still above his opponent there. Takedowns, blue, kind of below the orange, trending way down. Opponent's trending down, but not at a quick pace. But we are above our opponent's average there. And the blue line for control time percentage as well dips off in his very last fight against Dana. Trending down, opponent's trending down, but our averages are still above our opponents. All right. That's going to take care of the first fight of the night. Let's go back up. On to the next one. Jamal Emmers going against Pat Sabatini. This is going to be a featherweight fight. Jamal Emmers, 5'10", 74-inch reach, orthodox fighter, 32 years old. Pat Sabatini, 5'8", 70-inch reach, orthodox fighter, and about a year younger than Jamal Emmers there. 18-5 for Emmers, 1-1 in the UFC. 39% of his fights have been ended by KO or TKO. That's 7 wins, 2 losses. He's got 3 sub wins and 1 sub loss as well. 8 of his wins have come by decision. Pat Sabatini, 14-3 professionally, 1-0 in the UFC. 17.6% of his fights have ended in knockout TKO, 2 wins, 1 loss. He has 9 submission wins, no losses. That's good for 53% of his fights. And 29% of his fights do go the distance, 3 wins, 2 losses. All right. Jamal Emmers has a positive AWI, 9.51, very good. No power index, no chindex. Pat Sabatini, 8.38 AWI, very good as well. Only 1 fight. Power index, phenomenal, 3.85, second in the division, but again, very small sample size. And the chindex, perfect at 0. Jamal Emmers opened up minus 145, he's still there, and Pat Sabatini opened plus 125, currently about plus 119. So relatively no line movement on this fight so far. Plus 150 fight doesn't go. Minus 190 fight does go. We're going to skip my cappy numbers again because they will change. Jamal Emmers' notable performances. Vince Cachero, Giga Chikadze, he did lose that, so that would be a notable performance. And Pat Sabatini got the decision win against Tristan Connolly in his only fight in the UFC. No finishes for either one of these guys. All decisions. Can skip the round finishing data. AWI is going to be the same. Basic striking data. Significant strikes landed per minute. 5.23 for Jamal Emmers at a 48.6% accuracy. 3.8 strikes landed against per minute at a 58.39% defense. It's all good for a 1.43 significant strikes landed per minute differential. That is good for 11th in the featherweight division. So decent striking numbers from Jamal Pretty Boy Emmers. Pat Sabatini, 1.73 significant strikes landed per minute at a 58% accuracy. 1.27 strikes landed against per minute at an even 62% striking defense. He also has a positive differential, 0.47 strikes per minute. That is good for 32 out of 70. Advanced striking data, 7% striking efficiency for Emmers, has fought 71.22% of his time at distance. Pat Sabatini, 19.78% striking efficiency, very good, second in the division, fighting almost 25% of his total fight time at distance. That is third to last at 68th. Pretty similar, actually exactly similar numbers there, so we can skip that. Knockdown data, nothing for Jamal Emmers. Pat Sabatini does have a knockdown. He did win that fight. No knockdowns against. Basic takedown data. Jamal Emmers landing 3.5 takedowns per 15 at a 53.85% accuracy. He has a 100% takedown defense, stopping both attempts. His takedown shooting rate just north of 4%. His opponent under 1% takedown shooting rate. Takedown efficiency, a phenomenal 53.85% for Jamal Emmers. That is 5th in the featherweight division. Takedown data for Pat Sabatini. 1 takedown landed per 15, 20% accuracy. He has a 0% takedown defense as he did not stuff the 1 takedown attempt against him. 11.11% takedown shooting rate. His opponents have a 2% takedown shooting rate, and his takedown efficiency is a huge negative 80%. 62 out of 70%, or 70 fighters there. Advanced takedown data, not much to look at here. Pretty much the same numbers as before. Basic control time data. 26% of the fight time has been controlled by Jamal Emmers, while only 2.67 has been controlled against him. That is the 4th lowest number in the division. Pat Sabatini controlled 66.5% of his fight. His opponent only controlled 9%. Huge differential numbers here for both fighters. Jamal Emmers positive 23.44. That's 10th in the division. Pat Sabatini, small sample size, however, 57.5% control time differential. That is the highest in the featherweight division. Time fought inside the distance for Pat Sabatini, 75% compared to 29% for Jamal Emmers. 24-second get-up time for Emmers, 36-second hold-down time. Sabatini, 80-second get-up time, very slow. Hold-down time, 1:19.60, very good there. Control time activity rate, 6.89 for Emmers. Even worse, 2.41 for Pat Sabatini. So the higher that number, the more active you are while you're in control. Jamal Emmers has controlled 90%, almost 91% of the grappling time in his fights. And Pat Sabatini, right there with him, 88.2% of the grappling time he has controlled. Submission data, nothing to speak of for Emmers. Pat Sabatini did attempt a submission. He was unsuccessful. Jamal Emmers, 1 reversal against. Let's see. Low sample size for Pat Sabatini, so these are going to be very high and very low numbers, and they indeed are. Jamal Emmers, number 2, second ranked in the body strike defense. Less than 7.5% there. Head strikes landed per minute, 3. Body strikes landed per minute, 1.73. Very active striker. Striking efficiency, pretty even keel. He has a 25% body striking efficiency. Very good. 96% inside the distance striking efficiency. Sabatini, 25.5% head striking efficiency. Negative 50% leg strikes. 41% inside distance striking efficiency. He has a 0.53 head strike differential per minute. Jamal Emmers has almost a full strike at distance differential per minute. Half a clinch strike. Some good looking numbers there. And again, some pretty good disbursement numbers as far as strikes go. Jamal Emmers, 73% of the strikes he throws to the head, 21% to the body, 6% to the legs. 80% for Pat Sabatini to the head, 15.5 to the body, and 4 to the legs. Pat Sabatini, 26.67% of the strikes he has thrown have been on the ground. From the ground. To the ground. 1-1 in his last 5. Or it is Jamal Emmers, and 1-0 Pat Sabatini. We can skip the last 5. 5-fight history. Strength of schedule. Great numbers for Jamal Emmers here. Fantastic. Almost at 75 or over 70. And a whopping 87 strength of defeat, as he did lose to undefeated Giga Chikadze, who is also fighting on this card. Pat Sabatini, okay, not great. Less than, 65 all the way across. So that is pretty poor strength of schedule numbers there. And we can look at a couple of graphs. Not too much, though. Jamal Emmers has the most fights out of these two, but only has 2 fights. Our averages are above our opponent. That's fantastic. That's pretty much all we can look at. We're trending up. So there we go. That is going to be Jamal Emmers and Pat Sabatini. Let's get on to the first women's fight of the night. I could type JJ Aldrich against Vanessa Demopolis. Coming in on short notice, I believe. This is a women's flyweight fight. Aldrich, 5'5", 67-inch reach. She's a southpaw. 28 years old, almost 29. Demopolis, her last fight was at strawweight, but as I said, this is going to be a flyweight fight. 5'2", 59-inch reach, so much smaller and a 10-inch reach disadvantage. Orthodox fighter here for Demopolis, or is Demopolis, and she is the older fighter by almost exactly 4 years. 32, almost 33 years old. Aldrich, 9-4 professionally, 5-3 in the UFC. 70% of her fights do go the distance, with her winning 7 of those and losing 2. She has 2 knockout wins, 1 knockout loss, and 1 submission loss. Vanessa Demopolis, 6-3 professionally, 0-1 in the UFC. 55.5% of the time her fights go the distance. 2 wins, 3 losses. She has 1 knockout win, 3 submission wins. Never been finished. All right, average fight time for Aldrich, just under 15 minutes. Minus 2.36 ass whooping index. Minus 12.55 for Demopolis. Neither fighter has a knockdown nor has been knocked down. JJ Aldrich, some huge line movement on this fight as well. Opened at minus 220. Currently at minus 357. Oof. Plus 250. Fight doesn't go. Minus 350. Fight does go. Vanessa Demopolis opened at plus 185. She's now sitting around plus 275. My capping numbers are probably pretty accurate for this one, if not a little low. Aldrich has beaten Courtney Casey, Danielle Taylor, Lauren Mueller, all decision wins. Lost to Macy Barber by knockout. Lost to Lima by decision. Lost to Sabina Mazo by decision. Demopolis did lose a round, or a unanimous decision loss to Corey McKenna. No finish wins for either woman. JJ Aldrich, 33% of her losses have come by finish. That's just 1, and she was knocked out. /TKO. We'd have to look here at the fights. And that was in the second round. Basic striking data. Ignore why both of these are yellow. Don't ask me why, because I don't know. It's driving me crazy, though. But they are very similar. 3.76 significant strikes landed per minute for JJ Aldrich at a 41% accuracy. She gets outstruck, though. 4.55 strikes landed against per minute at a 62% defense. So a decent defense there. However, that gives her a negative significant strikes landed per minute differential at negative 0.79. Demopolis, on the other hand, land only 1.6 strikes per minute. That's the lowest in the flyweight division at a 41.38% accuracy, so just over Aldrich. She gets hit, outstruck as well. 3.13 significant strikes landed per minute against at a 50% defense. That is a negative 1.53 strikes per minute differential. 35th out of 40 in the division. Significant striking accuracy for Aldrich, decent 3.27. Terrible for Demopolis, minus 8.09. Time fought at distance for Aldrich, 75.71%. Demopolis, only 24.5% of her time was fought at distance. When JJ Aldrich throws more than 100 significant strikes, which has happened in 4 of her 8 fights, she increases her output from 3.76 to 4.73 strikes landed per minute, and she's won 3 of those 4 fights. Interesting little tidbit there. No knockdown information for either one. Basic takedown data. Not much here. Nothing for Demopolis. She was hit with a takedown. 0% defense. She does have a 3.45 takedown shooting rate, but 0 for 2 there. JJ Aldrich, 0.8 takedowns landed per 15 at a 40% accuracy. She gets hit with the same amount of takedowns per 15 at a little bit better defense, 57.14, but that's still pretty low. You want to see it, 70%-ish. 1.46 takedown shooting rate there. Advanced takedown data. Let's see. When she does win fights, turns out she increases her takedown data by 50%. 1.2 takedowns landed per 15 in her wins. When she attempts 2 or more takedowns, that number goes from 0.8 to 2 full takedowns landed per 15, and she has won all 3 of those fights. Basic control time data, 15% for Aldrich, 9.5% against. That's a positive control time differential of 5.59%. Look at this. Demopolis, 1.33. Boo. What's that, 12 seconds? 74% control time against. 11 minutes she was controlled in her last fight, her only fight. That is terrible. That is god-awful. Just abysmal. Time fought inside the distance, 24% for Aldrich, 75% for Vanessa Demopolis. She has only controlled 1.7% of all the grappling time in her fight, while Aldrich has controlled 61% of said time. No sub attempts for Aldrich, 2 sub attempts for Demopolis. Obviously, neither one successful. 1 reverse for Demopolis as well. Let's see, some pretty decent striking numbers for Aldrich. Top 50% of her division pretty much the entire way as far as defense and accuracy goes. Just south of 3 head strikes landed per minute. That's 10th. You know, half a body strike landed per minute. Fantastic. Actually, that is pretty low for the division. I take it back. But it's still better than Demopolis, who is towards the bottom of the division pretty much everywhere. Striking efficiency, positive numbers for Aldrich, 9.6 to the head, 4% to the body. Negative striking efficiency with the legs. Distance striking, 420, bro. And negative 22 inside the distance percent. Much, much worse numbers for Vanessa Demopolis. If you want to take a look there. Wow, head strike differential per minute, negative 1.93 for Demopolis. That is, you know, when you're getting hit in the head 2 more times than your opponent is per minute, you got problems. Significant striking percentages. 88% of the shots thrown from Aldrich are to the head, 8% to the body, 4% to the legs. So she is a bit of a head hunter. Demopolis, 78% to the head, 3 to the body, 19% of her strikes went to the legs. It's a pretty big number there. Last 5 fights, we can check it out for Aldrich. Demopolis will have identical stats as she had above. Aldrich is I pronounce her name however many different ways I feel like it. God damn it. Negative 1.26 strikes landed per minute differential. Positive takedown diff. 16% positive control time diff. Fantastic. Still a negative ass whoop index though at minus 2.62. Much better than Demopolis. Aldrich trending upwards in her striking accuracy. 2.5% better than in her career. Her defense is almost dropped by 1%, so not too bad. Here's some very drastic numbers. I love to see these. Takedown accuracy, up 10% in her last 5 over her career. Takedown defense up 14% over her last 5 compared to her career. That is fantastic improvements. Strength of schedule, not great. Under 70, except her strength of defeat has been decent. She did lose to Macy Barber and Sabina Mazo. Demopolis, terrible numbers, under 60. Strength of victory is better, and strength of defeat is better, however. So, not too great for either one. Take a look at those last 5 if you like. Roll up so you can see the Pollyanna Viana stats. No picture, sorry fellas. Take a look at these graphs here. We have the blue below the orange. Not great. Trending up, though, but so is her opponent. Her average is way below her opponent's striking average. Takedown numbers have only just begun to improve in the last fight against Courtney Casey. So she is trending up, and she is above her opponent's average. Control time numbers starting to dip a little bit, but still well above her opponent. Nothing to worry about there. Almost 4-1, as you can see. Vanessa Demopolis, in her one and only fight, she got outstruck, out-takedown did, and out-controlled big time, 74% to 1. Those are the numbers for Aldrich and Demopolis. We're halfway through the prelims here. Let's keep it moving. Dustin Jacoby. That's going to bother me. I'm going to have to change this. Sorry about that. The Hanyak against Darren the Dentist Stewart. Light heavyweight bout. Jacoby, 6'3", 76-inch reach. Orthodox fighter. 33.5 years old. Darren Stewart, 6 feet tall, 74-inch reach. Orthodox fighter as well. And 3 years younger than Dustin Jacoby. Professional record, 14-5 for Jacoby, 2-2-1 in the UFC. 52.5% of his fights have ended by KO, TKO. 9 wins, 1 loss. 1 sub win, 2 sub losses there. Darren Stewart, 37% of his fights have ended by KO. 4. 1 sub win, 2 sub losses. He's never been knocked out. He's got 4 wins by decision, 5 losses. Average fight time, Chikadze, 11.75 minutes with a negative 7.68 AWI. Power index, very good, 0.95. That's 16th out of 36th. But a bad chindex there, 0.92, 29th out of 36. Darren Stewart, average fight time, just under 10 minutes. Ass whoop index is better than Chikadze's, but still negative at a negative 4.52. Power index, 0.53, so okay there. And then chindex is much better than Chikadze's at a 0.26, but he still has gone down. Let's check out some odds. Opening line, Chikadze minus 175. He has moved up slightly to minus 193. While as Darren Stewart opened at 150, he is currently plus 158. Minus 105 fight doesn't go. Minus 135 fight does go. Some notable performances. Chikadze knocked out Justin Ledet. Round 3 decision win against Maxim Grishin. There we go. Let's see. Overturn no contest. That's always fun. Fight finishing data. 50% of Chikadze's wins have come by finish in the UFC. 50% of his losses by finish as well. Does have a draw. 60% of Stewart's wins by finish. 33% of his losses by finish. Chikadze's been subbed once. Stewart has been subbed twice. So that's where you get those finishes there. Pretty even keel for Stewart. Just needs a knockout loss to check all of his bingo boxes. They each have 1 round 1 finish win. Stewart has 2 round 2 finish wins. And a couple of round 1 finish loss, round 2 finish loss, and a round 3 finish loss for Dustin Chikadze. Ass whooping index very good when Dustin Chikadze finish wins, 85.8. Negative 12.39 when he gets finished. So that's a pretty high number for a finish loss. But pretty bad at minus 12 when it comes to decision. So seems to be doing well when he's finishing. Other than that, not so much. Basic striking data. Chikadze 3.59 significant strikes landed per minute at a 40.5% accuracy. Gets outstruck 3.69 strikes landed against per minute at a 60.5% defense. It does get outstruck, like I said, negative 0.1 strikes landed per minute. Darren Stewart, 2.98 strikes landed per minute at a 45% accuracy, gets hit with 3.07 at a under 50% defense, and pretty much the same striking differential there, negative 0.09 for Darren Stewart. Advanced striking data. Just under 1% efficiency for Chikadze, so not great, but not negative like Darren Stewart is, minus 5.5 significant striking efficiency. Stewart has spent 48.93% of his time fighting at distance, while Chikadze spent 76% of his time fighting at distance. When Chikadze throws over 100 significant strikes, he increases his significant striking output from 3.59 per minute to 4.16 per minute, but he's only won 1 of those 3 fights. Same with Stewart. He's had 2 fights where he's thrown 100 or more significant strikes. His output's gone from 2.98 to 3.8 strikes per minute landed, but he's only won 1 of those 2 fights. Knockdown data, 2 knockdowns for Chikadze, 2 knockdowns against. Good for 0.51 knockdown and knockdown against per 15-minute rate. He's won the fights that he scored knockdowns in, and he has won the fights that he has been knocked down in. Pretty interesting. Same exact thing for Darren Stewart. He's been knocked down once, but did not lose that fight, and he has 2 knockdowns for. Basic takedown data, 0.26 takedowns landed per 15 for Chikadze. Pretty low number there, 33% accuracy. That's just 1 takedown. His opponents, meanwhile, land 3.06 against him per 15 at a 52% takedown defense, so pretty bad there. 4.55 opponent takedown shooting rate for Dustin Chikadze. Darren Stewart on the other side for takedowns lands 1.5 per 15 minutes at a 42% accuracy. But he gets outlanded there. 3.11 takedowns landed against per 15 at a 67% defense. So much better defense, but the volume is higher. Opponent takedown shooting rate for Darren Stewart, 10.41%. So guys love to shoot takedowns on Darren Stewart, and for good reason. 53 times they've been successful. But he still has a positive takedown efficiency at 9.02%. Dustin Jacoby, on the other hand, negative 15% takedown efficiency. Not much to look at there. Basic control time, under 5% for Jacoby, just under 20% control time against for Jacoby. That's a negative 15.5% control time differential. He has only fought 24% of his time inside the distance. Darren Stewart, 16% of his control time, or 16% of his fights he has controlled, I should say. 35% his opponents have controlled. That is a negative 19% takedown or control time percent differential. And he has fought 51% of his time inside the distance, getting controlled, it looks like. 28-second get up time for Jacoby, 50-second hold down time, 33-second get up time for Stewart, and a 38 hold down time there. So pretty run of the mill, both sides. Darren Stewart, much more active when he's in control, 13.06 to just under 10. And Jacoby controlling only 17% of his total grappling time, while Stewart doubling up there, 32% controlled of his total grappling time. No submission data for Jacoby. Offensively, defensively, he has been submitted once. Stewart, he was successful on his one submission attempt. Opponent successful on 2 of the 5 submission attempts they've thrown up against him. Does have 2 reversals against him as well. What's jumping out at me, to me, at me in the significant striking data? Some pretty decent numbers, especially defensively from Jacoby. Some okay offensive numbers too. And pretty run-of-the-mill for Darren Stewart. Striking efficiencies, negative 14% leg striking efficiency for Jacoby. Positive 15% body striking efficiency. Minus 10 to the head for Darren Stewart. Let's see, differentials are pretty clean. Almost half a strike differential at distance for Jacoby. 78% of the punches he throws, significant strikes I should say, he throws, go to the head, 9% to the body, 12.5% to the legs. And pretty identical numbers for Darren Stewart, 79% to the head, 8% to the body, 13% to the legs. 95% come from distance, though, from Jacoby, while only 72% come from distance for Stewart. Graphical representation of that. In their last 5, they are both, or I guess Jacoby's 2-2-1, and Darren Stewart is 2-2, 1 no contest. Let's see, both have a negative striking differential, negative takedown differential, negative control time differential in the last 5. So they're all competing for mediocrity there. Negative ass whoop index, Stewart's is better, I guess. Power index, 0.95 for Jacoby, but his chin index is right there too, 0.92, very bad. 0 power index for Stewart, hasn't knocked anyone down in the past 5, has been knocked down 1 time in the past 5 for a 0.5 chin index there. We don't have any categorical trends because Jacoby only has 5 fights and no more. But we can look at Stewart here. Significant striking defense has fallen off by 7% in his last 5. His accuracy's gone up by 2.5%. Takedown accuracy's gone up by 1%. Strength of schedule, 72 all the way across for Jacoby, so average. And just under that for Darren Stewart, so even worse. Let's see. No common opponents in the last 5. We can take a look, if you would like, at the fight statistics that I pulled out of there. And right up there so you can see the last couple. My big old head was in the way. Dustin Jacoby, striking graph. Pretty even. Trending up. Trend lines above his opponent. His average is just below his opponent, however. Takedowns, nothing to speak of. Control time, terrible. He is trending up, though. But when you're at 0, you know, there's only one way to go. Darren Stewart. Strikes trending down, opponent trending way up. That Eric Anders fight did not help him at all. Takedowns landed, he's trending up. Opponents trending down, but he's still below their average. Control time, his opponents are way, way, way above him. Definitely got to work on that. All right, that is the Dustin Jacoby, Darren Stewart fight. Moving on, Sam Alvey against, I don't know if this is a cool name or an uncool name. It's one of those that really could go either way. I think the older I get, the more cool it is, which I don't know what that says about me. Sam Alvey against Wellington Turman. Middleweight fight, Alvey, 6'2", 75-inch reach southpaw, 35 years old. Wellington Turman, 6 foot, 72-inch reach, orthodox fighter, 25 years old. So over 10 years younger than Sam Alvey. Interesting. Professional record, 33-15. 33-15-1, I should say, for Sam Alvey. 10-10-1 in the UFC. 45% of his fights have been stopped by KO, TKO. 19 wins in that category for him. 3 losses. 3 submission wins, 2 submission losses. 45% of his fights do go the distance. Wellington Turman, 16-5 professionally, 1-3 in the UFC. 4 knockout wins, 2 losses there. 7 sub wins, never been subbed. And 38% of his fights do see the distance. Average fight time, pretty comparable. 9.8 for Salvi, 9.7 for Turman. Minus 0.6 ass whoop index for Alvey. That's 45th out of 63 in the division. But an even worse, negative 4.25 ass whoop index for Wellington Turman. No power index for him. 0.68 chindex, 45th in the division. 1.06 power index for Alvey. 0.56 chindex, so not great there. This line opened minus 110 for Alvey, currently plus 125. Minus 110 for Turman, minus 152 is the current line for him. Plus 100 fight doesn't go, minus 140 fight does go. Fight finishing data, 60% of his UFC wins have come by finish for Alvey. 40% of his losses have come by finish. Wellington Turman has not finished in the UFC, has been finished. 2 of his... No, that's not right. Yeah, okay. Yeah, 2 of his losses have been by knockout there, by finish. Sorry, numbers are hard, apparently. There's a graphical representation of his finishes. Sam Alvey checking all the boxes. 5 knockout wins, 5 decision losses. Second highest is 3 knockout losses there. Does have 5 round 1 finish wins. Has a round 2 finish win as well. Has been finished twice in the first and second round. Wellington Turman has 2 round 1 finish losses. AWI in a finish win for Sam Alvey, 38. Negative 39 in a loss, and a negative number for a decision as well. Positive number for Wellington Turman in his decision, 4.63 ass whoop index. Basic striking information. Sam Alvey, 3.2 significant strikes landed per minute at a 44% accuracy. Gets hit with 3.44 significant strikes landed per minute and 54.5% defense. That is good for a negative 0.24 significant strikes landed per minute differential. 46 out of 63 in the middleweight division. Wellington Turman on the other side, 2.44 strikes landed per minute at a 42.5% accuracy. Gets hit with 3.75 strikes per minute at a 43% defense. So pretty poor there. That's even worse than Alvey at a negative 1.31 differential. 59th out of 63 in the division. So Alvey pretty much dominating the striking numbers here. Advanced striking data, negative 1.65% for Alvey, but an even worse, negative 14.21% for Turman. Alvey spends 80.5% of his time at distance. Turman only 32%. Let's see. When Alvey throws 100 or more significant strikes in a fight, which has happened 6 times, he increases his output by over a strike to 4.39 significant strikes landed per minute. But he only has won 3 of those 6 fights. Knockdown data, 7 knockdowns for Alvey. That's 0.51 knockdown rate, knockdown per 15. Has been knocked down 4 times, 0.29 knockdown against per 15. No knockdowns for Turman, 1 knockdown against. Takedown data, this is all green for Turman here. Sam Alvey, only 1 for 6 takedowns in his entire career, UFC career, 21 fights. Turman, 2.31 takedowns landed per 15 at a 22% accuracy. Has never been taken down. He has a 100% takedown defense. His takedown shooting rate is a huge 12.11%. That's 7th highest in the division. Takedown efficiency, 22%. Takedown differential, 2.31. So very good numbers there. Alvey, on the other hand, 0.07 takedowns landed per 15. 16% accuracy. He has an 82.5% takedown defense. Very good. Negative takedown differential, negative takedown efficiency. Basic control time data. 5.33% control time for Sam Alvey. 14% control time against. Wellington Turman, though, 42% control time, but 25.5% control time against. So very good offensive, but very poor defensive number. Still positive differential, plus 16.63%. He has fought 68% of his time inside the distance. Sam Alvey, only 20, less than 20, 19.39% inside the distance. He has a 30.63 get-up time, 110 hold-down time, very good for Sam Alvey. 149-second get-up time for Wellington Turman, so not good there. 36.5-second hold-down time. Control time activity rate is just under 5. Over 22.5 for Sam Alvey, so very, very active. 9th highest in the division. He has only controlled, however, 27.5% of his total grappling time, while Wellington Turman has controlled 62% of his total grappling time. Sam Alvey, 100% submission rate, 1 for 1. 0% for Turman, 0 for 2. Reversal data, 1 landed for Alvey, 3 reversals against for Turman. Advanced significant striking data. Let's see here. Nothing too much for Alvey, some average numbers, and then some really subpar numbers for Wellington Turman. Not much to look at, especially volume-wise from either guy, really. Striking efficiency, negative all across the board for Alvey, except his body striking is a positive 22.71. And we have negative striking efficiencies all across the board for Turman. Gets, minus 0.97 head striking differential per minute. Sam Alvey has a positive number there. Gets outstruck at distance by a half a strike per minute, does Alvey. Striking percentages, 81% of the strikes Sam Alvey throws to the head, 90% to the body, and 9% to the body, and 10% to the legs. 83% strikes thrown are to the head for Turman, 12.5 to the body, and 4.5 to the legs. So pretty good numbers there. Nobody's really head hunting, both about 80%. Graphical representation of those numbers. And then our last 5, which isn't gonna, Turman only has 4 fights, so we can ignore that. Sam Alvey, 0-4-1 in his last 5. Probably has to do something here. Probably needs to beat Wellington Turman, who's on, a 3-fight skid, I believe. 2-fight skid. Negative numbers all across for Sam Alvey. Significant strikes differential, takedown diff, control time diff. Negative striking differential for Turman. Well, actually, these are the same numbers, but positive takedown and control time. Sam Alvey trending down or at 0 in every single category. 4% negative in his striking accuracy. Takedown accuracy at minus 16.67%. Takedown defense minus 5.53%. So those big takedown numbers are declining. Last 5, as you can see, strength of schedule, strength of victory. Don't know why this is 0. Oh, probably because he hasn't won a fight in his past 5. So that's why that should say 0, but whatever. 80% win rate, though. Opponent's win rate. 78 strength of schedule, very good. 79 strength of defeat, pretty good. We have some decent numbers over here too. Wellington Turman, not at that 75% there, but is over 70. So not terrible. A lot of red here. Between the two of them, only 1 win in their past, 9 fights? total. 1-9. 1-8 with a draw, I should say. 1-8-1. So not great. Graphs here, not good for Alvey. His opponents are above him and trending up, and the average is higher. No takedown game to speak of. Control time, he's trending way down. Opponents trending up, and still more than double of that percent. Tournament on the other side, opponents trending way up, striking way higher, over a strike, 1.31 striking differential there. No takedowns to speak of, just like Sam Alvey. And then control time, he is trending up and actually doing better than his opponents there. So one positive graph out of all 6 of these. Safe to say this is probably not going to go to the ground, but who would have predicted that the Mark Madsen-Clay Guida fight was a striking bout? So who really knows what the fuck is going to happen? Anyways, let's go on to our last fight of the prelims there. Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. I refuse to say Al-Hassan. Al-Hassan. Abdul Razak Al-Hassan against Alessio Di Chirico. Middleweight fight. Al-Hassan, 5'10", 73-inch reach, orthodox fighter. Alessio, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, orthodox fighter as well. 4.5 years younger than Abdul. Abdul, 10-4 professionally, 4-4 in the UFC. 80% of his fights have ended by knockout, TKO. 10 wins, 1 loss. No subs either way on his record, and he's never won a fight by decision. All 10 of his wins by knockout. Alessio Di Chirico, 13-5 professionally, 4-5 in the UFC. 33% of his fights have ended by KO, TKO. That's 6 wins, no losses. 4 sub wins, 1 sub loss for him. 48% of his fights do go the distance. Average fight time for Al-Hassan, 6.9 minutes to 11.3 minutes for Chirico. Al-Hassan, negative 4.09 ass whoop index. For a guy that has 10 career knockouts, his ass whoop index is negative. He's got a 3 power index. That is good for 4th out of 63 in the division. Very good. Chindex there, 0.43. Not so good. 36th out of 63. Di Chirico, on the other hand, 2.69 AWI, 0.9 power index, and a 0.3 Chindex there. Odds, plus 0.25 Al-Hassan opened. He's now plus 185. And Di Chirico opened at minus 155, currently sitting minus 232. Minus 120 fight doesn't go, and minus 120 does go. Let's see here. Yeah, Al-Hassan, his three biggest ass whoopings: Charlie Ward, Nico Price, Sabah Hamasi, all first round knockout victories. Did get knocked out by Chaos Williams, and then lost a decision to Jacob Malkoun, Omari Akhmedov. As we said, 100% of Al-Hassan's wins have come by finish. 25% of his losses have come by finish. Chirico, 50% of his wins finish. Only 20% of his losses are finishes. And then we get some fight finishing data. There we go. All 4 of Al-Hassan's UFC wins by finish, or by knockout, I should say, has been knocked out once. 2 knockouts for Di Chirico. 1 sub loss. Finishing data for all 4, as we know. Razak Al-Hassan wins have come in the first round. Did get finished in the first round once. And then Chirico has a couple sprinkles there, first and second round wins and losses. When Al-Hassan finishes, he finishes big, 77 ass whoop index. When he loses big, minus 312. Oof. And in his decisions, not good either, minus 18.22 ass whooping index. So if he doesn't knock you out, it's going to be a long fight. Di Chirico, on the other hand, much more balanced. 25 finish win, AWI, minus 16 in a finish loss, very high, 8th out of 63rd. And then a 0.81 decision, AWI, so above 0. Very good there. Basic striking data. Al-Hassan, 3.62 strikes landed per minute at a 48% accuracy. Gets outstruck, though. 4.25 landed against per minute at a 53% defense. That is good for a negative 0.63 significant strikes per minute differential. Di Chirico, on the other hand, 3.3 landed, 4 per minute. At a 41% accuracy, gets, outstrikes his opponents, but barely. Gets hit with 3.24 strikes per minute at a 63% defense. That gives him a just over 0 differential there at a 0.06. Advanced striking data, Hassan, striking efficiency 1.22, while Chikadze 4% even. 50% of Hassan's fight time has been fought at distance, while 80% of Chikadze's fight time has fought at distance. See, pretty even numbers there. Knockdown data, 6 knockdowns for Hassan. That's a 1.63 knockdown per 15 rate. That's 4th in the division. Amazing. Has been knocked down once. KD per 15 differential of 1.36. That's the 3rd highest in the division. Chikadze, no slouch himself, 3 knockdowns, 0.44 knockdowns per 15. Has been knocked out or knocked down 1 time. Both fighters have won the fights they've scored knockdowns in and have lost the fights they have been knocked down in. Basic takedown data. Hassan, not really much to speak of. Half a takedown landed per 15 at a 28.5% accuracy. Takedown defense is poor, 55%. Wow, 5.16 takedowns landed against per 15 for Hassan. That is second to last in the division. His opponents throw shoot takedowns 8.33% of the time. He has a negative 16.67 takedown efficiency. Chikadze on the other side. Look at all this green. 1.5 takedowns per 15, 45% accurate, 83% takedown defense, positive takedown differential, just under 30% takedown efficiency. Very good numbers. He averages 2.66 takedowns in his wins. So a whole 1 takedown per 15 more in his wins. Pretty even numbers there. Control time percent. Abdul, Razak, Hassan, 7.3% control time, 42.5% control time against. That is a huge negative differential there. Pretty even for Chikadze, 10.5% for, 9.2% against, so a positive differential. 19.77% of his fight time has come inside the distance, while just under 50% has come inside the distance for Hassan. His get-up time, 33.5, hold-down time, 34.5. Chikadze, a quicker get-up time, 23.5 seconds, but not quite as fast not quite as good hold-down time, 27 seconds there. Control time activity rate, pretty good for Hassan, 15.6, 11.4 on the other side. Percent of grappling time controlled, 14.5% for Hassan, while Chikadze has controlled majority of the grappling time in his fights, 53.5% there. Submission data, none thrown for Hassan, 2 thrown against Hassan. He has Hassan, he has defended both of them successfully. Chikadze has had 4 subs thrown against him. 1 has been successful. 1 reverse for Hassan, 1 reverse against Chikadze. What do we got here? Pretty good defensive numbers for Chikadze. Offensive numbers are a bit below average. And the exact opposite for Hassan. Above average offensive numbers, below average defensive numbers for the most part. Efficiency, positive everywhere except for negative 32% leg striking efficiency for Hassan, negative 3% inside the distance striking efficiency. Positive numbers all for Chikadze, plus 42% striking inside the distance striking efficiency. His only negative is a 2.82% body strike efficiency, plus 0.66 head striking differential per minute. On the other side, minus 0.53 body strike differential per minute for Hassan. Not good there. We got some headhunters here, not quite. Hassan, 84% of all strikes, significant strikes he's thrown have been to the head, 7% to the body, 9% to the legs. Chikadze, 80% to the head, 12% to the body, and 7.5% to the legs. Distance striking, both about the same at 87-88%. Graphical representation of that. Last 5 fights, both guys, we can look at this, absolutely. They're both 2-3 in their last 5. DiChirico has the better numbers except for in striking or offensive striking. Al Hassan has that, but not by much. Ground game is DiChirico. Control time DiChirico. Negative 0.69 significant strikes landed per minute differential for Al Hassan. Negative 5.14 takedowns landed per 15 differential. Negative 46% control time differential. And we have some pretty good numbers for DiChirico here, at least compared to Al Hassan. Ass whoop index, negative 11.7 for Al Hassan. Positive 1.8 for DiChirico. Decent power index, terrible chin index, but not as bad as Al Hassan, 0.7. Does have a crazy power index, though, 1.69. So if DiChirico obviously can avoid the big power shots, I mean, this fight just speaks for itself. Al Hassan's going to get a first-round knockout, or he's going to lose. That's pretty much how this is going to go. Some trend numbers down. Al Hassan's striking defense is down, just under 5% over his last 5. Takedown defense is up 3%. Pretty even for DiChirico. However, his takedown defense, look at that, up 16.67% in his last 5 compared to his career. His takedown accuracy is down 3%. Everywhere else is pretty even. Strength of schedule, less than okay for Al Hassan, not quite 75. His strength of defeat, though, is pretty good at an 84. DiChirico, decent strength of schedule, very consistent all the way across, 0.75, 0.77. Very, very good. Scroll down to see some of these fights if you'd like to take a look. And then the graphical analysis here. Abdul, Razak, Al Hassan trending way down sharply. Strikes per minute. Opponent trending up. And he is starting to dip below. Those strikes per minute are evening out. And in fact, the green is below the yellow here, so his opponents are outstriking him. Takedown per 15. No takedown game to speak of, hardly at all, for Al Hassan. Meanwhile, 5.57 takedowns against per 15 minutes. That is a crazy high. And then a 50% control time for, with really nothing to speak of. In fact, he is trending down in his control time there. So 3 pretty piss-poor graphs from Abdul, Razak, Al Hassan. Alessio DiChirico, striking, trending way up. Opponents trending down, so he is making a comeback on that. He's going to get that green, trying to get that green above that yellow. Takedown numbers, crashing into the ground. However, his opponents have zeros all the way across the board. And Al Hassan is probably not going to land a takedown in this fight, so you can continue to see that, or expect to continue to see that. And then control time, same deal. Crashing into the ground. He is still above his opponents, 10% to 6.5%. So we do like to see that. Again, Al Hassan's not going to control any time in this fight. So nothing to worry about there. All right, guys, we did it. We made it through the first 6 fights of this Saturday's card, UFC Vegas 35, Chikadze versus Edson Barboza. Those were the prelim fights. If you have any questions, please feel free to comment them down below. I did kind of fly through this. We're just over an hour. That was my goal. In these videos, I don't go over every single statistic that we have. That would take hours and hours. So if you do have any questions, please feel free to comment that below. Guys, also do your fight tape. Check out the fight tape for these fights. These stats are meant to be a good complement to the fight tape. With the fight tape and the stats together, you're going to be taking money from your bookies and putting it in your bank account. So let's make that happen. This is another great week to find some spots to win some money on. So make sure you tune in for my next video. It's going to be all 6 fights on the main card for UFC Vegas 35. That will be posted right after this one goes live. So again, thanks a lot, guys. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe, and we will see you in the next one. Peace out.